What are you doing?
I made a copy yesterday. I forgot to grab it.
That was the printer, so I can bring it over just in case. Last time, so we had like pull over one of the other ones, so. Yeah, just grab a red X, that's. I'll tell you about it, breaking the rules, but. God help us.
That's right, we're sitting with our drive.
6 o'clock. Yes. Wasn't it? Sometimes I say random shit, and I don't want people to get pissed off. All right, so you were surprised they can't thoughts.
Not, it's not. Yeah, kind of.
The weather's nice.
Well, you're just gonna do it solid.
Not this week, but next week I will. But that's not.
Sounds great.
Have class next week, or do you not want to have class next week?
No.
Okay. Sakes. I'm getting a little more excited. Tonight, I'm gonna go through 2 sets of slides. But going on, I'll go over your midterm exam. The reason we're not having class next week is because your midterm exam is due next Saturday. So. Next week. Synopsis is the week after. Did I get that confused? Yeah. The synopsis, according to the syllabus, it says the 13th.
Trying to decide on Google.
I did. I changed it on Moodle. Check Moodle. Check Moodle right now. Hold me accountable.
I know the syllabus on the syllabus. It says next week's exam.
There you go, Moodle right now. Did it?
Oh, I got lost.
Did it say March 13th on there?
Which one?
Where's the synopsis?
Yeah.
Synopsis is March 13th. Refresh your middle page. There it is. So I looked at the syllabus and we'll go with that. Just give you half a week to do it. Trust me, the midterm is not that bad. Okay. After tonight, do everything you need to know. You can probably do it now. So there's that. So I'll go over in class night. I'll tell you exactly what I want from you guys on it. I'm not one for surprises. Right. We'll go through that. So no class next week because of the exam. I'll let you guys work on the exam next week during class time. Still do Saturday. And I'll even do another solid. I'll just give you guys 25 points for your, or 10 points, whatever it is. For your 1,000 words for next week. So how about that?
I like parties.
It's really weird.
Listen, right?
I am here.
Everybody loves like sour cream.
No, I don't.
I got you a Bud Light.
That's kind of creepy. You can't play candy. You pulled your man. Like some candy? So we'll do that next week for you. I'd say remember it on my evaluations, but honestly, here. So there's that. That being said, what you guys noticed in the news or notice that related to you and your personal interests this week, despite Tiger Woods taking a spill. Let's forget that one. What else have you noticed? Steve.
I saw where the Australian Open, they said they lost like $54 million.
Okay. What, from not having fans there? Or?
Yeah, for not having fans, yeah, for, they're claiming lack of fans and I guess other things they had to do, but they're claiming they lost $84 million. They had to type in, obviously, they had reserve of basically that much. And had to got everything for everything.
I mean, rightfully so. I still think it's important that it was on TV.
Yeah.
Without that, there's no real point. No, tennis. Doesn't matter if there's fans there or not, they gotta be quiet.
It matters. Well, sometimes the crowd can.
Like the two fans that show up at matches here.
Here's different.
I mean, the two geriatric folks that show up and cheer on the team. I mean, I see it. $84 million is a lot.
Yeah.
I know they had to operate facilities. I'm sure they had to make some improvements, but they already had stuff there. And they saved money too because they didn't have any line judges, right? There's no line judges, all automatic. So there's just cameras that automatically call penalties or called out and whatever.
All they have is the main chair guy.
They had the chair guy and then they had the kids out there running balls. So they had cheap labor for free and the chair umpire, the chair. So I don't know. I think you should continue. Right? Why not? It actually probably made it faster. I mean, the line judges do a great job, but can a system do it? Right? So there's elements. Yeah. I'd be curious to see how that goes and how other tournaments follow through. So I don't know Australia's problem. Not make money off of it. They're probably off of sponsorships. I don't know. What else? Yeah.
The CEO and Mariners president, like, I think it's like, season ticket holders is someone that had like, someone inside the company, but not necessarily, like, working from you tell them a whole bunch of, like, not necessarily secrets, but like things inside the company that was supposed to be public about how they, really cheap, how they got like a deal, I don't know, I stole a deal out of like this TV company that they broadcast their games on, and certain places are not going to call up, so they don't have to start the system.
Is it anything that nobody didn't already know?
But it was more public now than anything. So it's just the fact that he admitted it openly that kind of caused a lot of people to be unbelievers.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's that analogy of no one likes, you never eat a hot dog if you actually saw how it was made. That's sports. I think for those of us that work on the inside of it, that's why I tell my wife I can never really be a fan ever again. Because once you work inside, you see how everything goes, you see how this operation happens. When you don't get paid a whole lot and then you flip around and expect you to work 120 hours a week and do all this stuff. And then everyone's like, oh my God, such a great job. I'm like, sure. What do you do? I do this. I killed your job. Really? Like, you see that and you see how, yeah, teams manipulate player service time. It's been happening all the time. So people don't like hearing about it, but is it gonna stop people from watching Mariners games? No. Right? Did it stop people from watching NFL games after the whole entire, the Colin Kaepernick kneeling and everything else? And it happened that season, now people watched it in greater numbers. So, sure, it might get riled up, but it's sports. Right? I mean, if you saw what went on with your favorite brands sometimes. Like, oh, so Nike, everyone loves Nike until you find out that they had child labor working on stuff. That stopped people from buying. They said, I'll never buy Nike again. Right? People still buy Nike. It's your favorite brand. Live and die by it. So there's just interesting to see and how much the Mariners could do it. Yeah, he had to lose his job, I think, right? Because that's, what has to happen to save some of the sponsorship dollars.
They're probably gonna lose more money this season.
Yeah. The sponsors didn't leave the Washington football team. They still have sponsors. I don't see how you can do anything wrong. Right? What else?
I talked about some Monday night, but Notre Dame. I thought you're not saying anything. Just 50 sports.
And what?
EA Sports college football.
Why are they not going to do that?
So the players, they want the players to have to make money off the benefit off of the players.
Plus, Notre Dame's right paying the players too. I mean, did we take a pay cut from EA Sports? Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. Could this happen? Could you see a massive change? Because it's usually guys in the NFL are making $10,000, $20,000 a year from EA Sports and Madden. So could college athletes be making $10,000, $20,000 a year? Sure, I don't see why not. But you can't pay them, then you won't have college football. The gaming one. What else? Yeah.
There's a bill going on in the NCAA that might allow like students and recruits to make like endorsement deals.
Wait, so the NCAA is saying that student athletes can't make endorsement deals?
Like they might have the ability to like so recruits and athletes can make endorsement deals and they get into like professional drafts without losing their ability. That's been like it's like so works right now. I'm reading.
That's from the NCAA.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. That's good. I mean, like not. It's not be fair to everyone, I guess, because like some players are obviously more likable than other players. I mean, like I feel like that makes it pretty unfair. Cause like favorite teams could like I don't know put people on against in a better situation.
Could. It could also make teams that are in medium markets better, more attractive than those that aren't. Why was Nick Saban upset about this? Tuscaloosa, there ain't nothing there except the school. Could people go to USC or UCLA? That's the #2 media market in the country, one of the largest in the world, and just roll into the endorsement deals? Potentially, right? I actually wrote a paper, never published it, I wanted to, that said, why can't college athletes get similar endorsement deals like professional athletes get? So why can't a football player go sign with Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, New Balance, whoever you want, for cleats and gloves?
Like more or less. So say so for the arms you go inside Nike for another arm school. I know they did the NFL. That's what the SPT did.
So the NCAA is going to protect its members from their deals, but in those contracts, it explicitly says that they want access to the student athletes. because that's who the walking billboards are. So it works there. The NFL is not losing any money off of it. They're still seeing it because you still see the logo. It could potentially hurt the schools then, because then what's the incentive? I mean, you still want. There's only a handful of universities out there that actually have really good deals with apparel companies. We're not one of them. Okay, we buy our stuff through a third-party entity called BSN Sports, who charges us, I believe it's 40%. We get 40% off on apparel. I think it's 35% off on footwear. When I was at the Citadel, we got half off on apparel and 45% off on footwear because we dealt directly with Adidas. Nike doesn't really care about you unless you're a championship winning team. So your major schools that are out there. Under Armour doesn't really care about you unless you're Notre Dame's Under Armour, right?
South Carolina, Notre Dame,
South Carolina, Notre Dame,
previously UCLA.
that one, yeah. Oregon's Nike. Wrong state. Utah. Forget who's Maryland. Texas Tech. So the bigger schools, that's who gets the better deal. But Adidas would go to smaller schools and give them that access.
But you talk to the other coaches, so. Have a friend in blue, who says that they're Adidas or they get everything.
Adidas is really focused on customer service, and they'll do. I mean, at the Citadel, we had custom graphics or stuff that we can get printed on shirts. I mean, it's amazing what they'll do. And we had, like for baseball, we had one of the top salespeople come in and talk to us, who dealt directly with baseball in Mississippi State, who had the latest in bats and gloves that they had. So they're coming out with their line of stuff. Wanted us to use it. Really, you got to talk to coach because baseball coaches have their own deals with Easton, Louisville Slugger, Marucci, DeMarini, whatever it may be. That's who they have their deals with. So that's how they work. That's how it's been. Coaches might be a little upset because then that could impact their deals too. For apparel. So allow athletes to go get their own endorsement deals. I don't see a problem with that. Does it conflict with the school? Well, the school's going to have to reevaluate that because the school's not the top commodity, the athlete is. And then what was the other half of that? Endorsement deals and draft. How do we feel about that?
I think this should be punished.
Huh?
You shouldn't be punished.
If you want to try and get drafted, should you still have your scholarship if you don't get drafted? Okay. But then that impacts your overall numbers. So try to manage that from the school side and how that works. It gets, so for football, this is the element that I love about players getting endorsement deals. As a former equipment manager, I love it because I tell those athletes, fine, you think you're great? You want to get endorsement deals? Go out and get it. Oh, you can't? Why? Because no one cares about you? Okay, welcome to the market. And the market economy dictates what goes on. So you need an agent, you need other things to go along with that, but let the market dictate what you're able to get. You think that because everyone told you and kissed your feet and praised to you that you were the best recruit ever that stuck on this campus, go out and tell me that you're actually having market value for it. That tends to bring people back to reality real quick. As someone who's worked with it, I'd be all for that. From the draft perspective, I think that would be the more hotly contested one. Because if I'm a coach and I have athletes who are draft eligible, they want to go get drafted, but you're going to leave and go train and do everything else. And then, oh, you got drafted in the 4th round. You didn't like your position in the 4th round of the NFL draft, or the 5th round or the 6th round. You think you should be a 3rd rounder or above. Do you want to come back? Well, I already gave your scholarship because I have to get people in.
That's the athletes.
So,
I think if they're gonna get drafted, they should have to continue to call it.
so continue, but there's no guarantee of your scholarship. So sure, I'll let you come back and play, enter the portal. If you don't want to come back, go somewhere else. If that's really what you want to do. But I think, yet again, at least in the market where we think we were drafted, where we think we should be to what actually is, which is where the baseball version of arbitration almost gets really unique. And some neutral party. So I can get a prognosticator to tell me that, oh, I feel that your draft grade is a second round draft grade. That's what happens in the NFL. Players get draft grades, they see where they're at, then they can make the decision to go. Well, that's where they get drafted at. Well, that can't help it. You ran a slow 40. Sorry. That's, if I'm your agent, I can only do so much.
I think we may start to see more of that increase in scholarship numbers. If that was to happen, because they're gonna say, hey, we'll give you 5 more. And this is for these guys that may come back, may not, you don't know what's going on with them yet. But you can only fill them for these reasons.
Okay. So increase scholarship numbers. Who pays for it?
That's what you're sure gonna be that. I'm just saying I could see that happening. I don't know if that comes from the athletic foundation, school.
Yeah. Because that's where you take an instance like Coastal. We looked at our numbers, which I think is like $7 million scholarship expense annually. Foundation is not raising $7 million to pay that. So
They
that
always have someone on the roster who's on a scholarship, who doesn't do not be on a scholarship, who easily can work on a professional player.
sure,
Just don't make it happen. The school can make it happen.
I agree. Do I kick the GPA booster off to get someone in here who's gonna help me with?
Depends how bad your GPA is.
Do I kick that high character person off to bring in this person? I mean,
But as a board,
that's where college athletics walks this fine line of, am I professional entertainment or am I academics and everything else? Am I business or am I this academic mystique that we think we all are? I say cut through the bullshit and really figure out what you are. Then you really know how this is. The people who think it's one thing and get shocked by this other thing, it's amazing. I guess.
Really good portal and how you can sign from the portal. Like right now, if you take someone in there, there is nothing to bind you to them. Like you have that scholarship for them, but say, you know, you say they commit today, but all of a sudden in May, some other school comes in and says, no, we want off. Well, they're just gone, and you have no way of holding on to them in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I think that's what.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that it's interesting, and what Carl said, it's we're always gonna make it work some way, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. Where's it happening? So yeah, what else?
Everton Soccer Club will build a new stadium. It will be like a sustainable stadium because it incorporates like technology that will be based on energy efficiency and environment. And so that's the investment is like $1.1 billion. But at the same time, it will generate about 15,000 jobs.
Wow, so sustainable. They have like composting around and zero waste and
I guess so. Yeah, it's by the sea kind of.
how are they gonna separate the unruly fans from the civilized fans? Are they gonna put like a boxing ring in there so fans can fight? That's European soccer. When you don't watch the match on soccer can be boring. Let's watch what's going on in the stand. Get knocked out. But the parking lot afterwards in the streets. No, that's interesting how they're gonna do it. I think European clubs, it's one of the growing areas after they saw what Tottenham did. And that immaculate palace that they built, that puts pressure on other clubs to compete because it's a competition for the top players. Right? When it comes time for free agency in soccer, whatever it is, posting or, I don't know. To get them in, they're not gonna go play in some crappy stadium. They wanna play in a nice one. So it's recruiting. Anything else? Well, what I came across last night, my wife is taking marketing right now for MBA, and they're doing Amazon AWS. You know what AWS is? Probably been impacted by some point today. It's Amazon Web Services. So they essentially what they do is when you walk downstairs and you see all the servers that are down there. Amazon has the servers, essentially makes the cloud server base for your operation. They have partnered with, they're really getting into sport in a bunch of ways. There's actually a fight between them, Microsoft, and I think Cisco. That's who's going to try and control the market for data. It's all a data push of what they can provide for you. And what I saw last night was that they're partnering with the Seattle Seahawks, along with the whole NFL. So the next gen stats in the NFL, that's from AWS. The Seahawks use it to a whole nother level because they're in Seattle, where everything from player evaluation, individual metrics, and one of the biggest things in sport right now is how do I develop metrics for team sports? In baseball, we can develop metrics for baseball. Every pitch, the game totally resets. So I can tell individual performance, right? I can tell a great player, we can compare across the centuries, because if you hit over 300, you're doing pretty good. 300 back in the day against 300 now, you're doing well. It's hard to tell the impact of what's a left tackle worth in the NFL. It's some people, there's so much varied opinion. So the Seahawks are using it also for evaluation of players and free agents. How do I have this? So you think all the ways we can collect data. Alabama, they see short pads on games. Sometimes there's a little green dot in the back. Those are accelerometers and everything else that they put onto the shoulder pads. They wear them during practice to have it. You watch a soccer match and the players are done, they take off their jersey. It looks like the guys are wearing sports bras. That's the accelerometers and tracking exertion and everything else, mileage run. So the physical elements of it is what we need to do. Is track down there. We don't want to overwork them, right? I don't want to overwork. Why would I overwork for best commodities? I want you to do it on Saturday, not on Wednesday. So how do I put that together? But also now I have so much more data that I can piece in to make you better, but also know your value. That's what they were. Yeah.
We actually use them and put them under our sports bras, and they have them on the sideline games, and they watch and they actually pull people out. When they see our heart rate, it turns into a color on the screen, and they'll take us right out. Make sure we don't max out.
So I saw it with basketball. Wake Forest had it during a game too. It's really interesting. That's super fancy. What's a potential problem with that though, if I'm a player?
I don't want to say that.
Huh?
If you feel fine, you like are fine, you can just comment.
You feel fun.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, pissed.
You'd be pissed. This is where there's technology in helmets, right? We make all this stuff about concussions. There's technology that's been around for, it's having out of equipment now for 7 years. It was coming out 10 years ago. And to where Rydell's the one who did it, where they could put technology into the helmet that could tell me exactly where the blow came from, how much force it was, all this other stuff. Colleges were starting to look into it. I think UNC was one of the ones that was really pushing it. The NFL, the players said no. Because how many times during an NFL game is that thing going to go off and say that, oh, you might have concussion? I mean, a lot, right? Depending on your position, you get blown up and you get back up, you're like, I'm good. You might not be good, but you played it off well. Because you as a player don't want to leave the game. Because you leave the game, now you might not make it back in. And that hurts your bonus potential, that hurts the finance of what you're doing. All in the name of safety. So using accelerometers, everything else is fantastic. And the way Alabama using practice and seeing what they're doing for exertion, thing on. If I'm an agent or a player, I don't really want the club to really have all that data, right? Because now that can be used against me. I go into negotiations, well, you're falling off in the past couple of years. Your value's going down. Think JJ Watt right now. Can JJ Watt make an impact on a game? Absolutely. But if I know this data, maybe I'm not gonna pay JJ Watt as much, right? So that's where this kind of gets to an interesting point. And the data element is really interesting how they're using it to try and figure out overall athlete value. Which I turned to my wife, and she has to develop some product to sell. I said, here's one. NHL just signed not too long ago with AWS, which is smart. They said, oh, we're gonna have increased data analytics and the fan experience, right? NHL has some player tracking on the ice. One sport that I like to know your exertion. Trying to phase it out, but they also just signed a partnership with Bally's out in Vegas. So for the sports book, I told my wife is, if I'm AWS, I'm going to the NHL and saying, look, I know we're partners, but let's do this. I know you signed with Bally's. Let me license your data and let me sell it to a sports book. We all make money out of this. Because if I'm FanDuel, I'm DraftKings, William Hill, all these sports books that are there, I want to know that data. Because that enables me to create better odds so that I am not losing money. The more information I have, the better. Because usually sports books are at a disadvantage. They'll pay for them to increase their profitability. The other thing with the NFL, sleep numbers, the official bet of the NFL. If a player wants a sleep number bet, they have to agree to sign away their data to the NFL. Because when you sleep, it tracks your sleep. Your team, don't you want to know that? Absolutely. You're a sports bettor, don't you want to know that?
Basically, put the bet in someone else's head.
Huh?
Basically, put the bet in someone else's head.
Good. Figured it out, but so they like Dak Prescott's a sleep number ambassador. There's some sleep. So lots of stuff to pay attention to out there. That all shapes together. But tonight, here's I want to do these two sets together is corporate resources and strategy. My MBA is in strategy. I love thinking through how we all work together. Shit. So have you seen this before in other places? Consumer behavior, maybe that. Great tool to use. You can use it in 5 minutes to figure out what you want. This can take you months to really do a thorough, detailed SWOT analysis of what you're doing, competition, how we're fitting in a product into a market, how we're going to make this in, where am I going to make money, where am I not going to make money. It's a great tool to use. Also, it looks really impressive if you sit down with somebody and you're giving them feedback on their organization or something else. Bust out one of these, like, wow, you came prepared with this. Sure, I did it 5 minutes ago. They don't need to know that, but at least it shows that you cared. So SWOT analysis is a great tool to utilize. Businesses have to have some sort of competency. This is what that company does at its proficiency, right? Amazon, at its heart, they're truly a logistics company. Logistics and marketplace company. That's it. Digging deeper, they're truly a data company. That's what they do. They know data and how to take data, shape it, to craft what you're doing. That would be their core competence. What are you truly good at? And think about yourselves. What are you truly great at? That's your core competency. What are you pretty good at? Distinctive competency. Okay. Ways to really think about that make distinctive, some capability that enables you to perform a particular set of activities better than its rivals. Right, so I don't know. There's a picture of that 40 million.
No,
Trevor Bauer. What does he do better than pretty much anybody else? Probably his fastball, right? Slider, strikeouts. There's a distinctive competency, right? Roldis Chapman, his core competency, he throws the ball 107 miles an hour. I don't care who you are. Let's move it, right? I think PGA Tour golfers, Bryson DeChambeau, core competency, hits the ball a damn mile. All right, looks like the Hawk and just smashes a golf ball. Putting, that's not really there, but he can hit the ball a ways. Right, so think through that. Companies are operate the same way. It's always trying to figure out what am I truly good at. That's your most valuable strength that you can use. Leads to overall market success. Your core competency is something that you do internally. Your firm. So Amazon, data processing, they do that internally. What do? They now enable other companies to take advantage of their competency through AWS. Right? There's Walmart, same thing. Logistics is what Walmart is really good at. It surely isn't customer service. But they can get stuff from point A to point B quickly. Make that happen. Right? If there's a natural disaster, Walmart beats the federal government there. With water or something else. Why? Because they can. Because they had the infrastructure system put in place to do that. Good. Most companies know what they're great at and will pay for other stuff. This is why consulting is a major factor in the business world. Right? Don't invest resources and time. The most important resource any person has, any company has, is time. That's why a lot of CEOs and executives travel on private jets. It's the value of their time. People still write stuff down. So we think these strengths versus weaknesses. Strengths is some sort of competitive asset that you have. Right? I just mentioned Walmart. The strength of Walmart is logistics. Put Walmart up with anybody else, they'll beat you on logistics. Let's see. What would be a strength of NASCAR? Advertising, sponsorship, ability. Right? Every weekend there's 43 billboards that drive in a circle, sometimes in a road course. Right? They're going in a circle. And they're there. What's that? And they have, I'd say another strength of them, the asset, they pretty much have an inroad with Main Street America. Right? Sponsors in NASCAR are pretty much what everyday people would use. For the most part. You're gonna eat M&Ms. Anyone not like M&Ms in here? There you go. One. There's the one. There's always that one. Right? You don't see Sour Patch Kid car. See, there's the one. So you see common sponsors that are out there. FedEx, Vinny Hamilton. Right? People use FedEx, whether you know it or not. You're using it. You're using UPS. All right, so it's there. And then your weaknesses are some sort of shortcoming that you have. Everybody has weaknesses. Every organization has weaknesses. Professional sports teams have a lot of weaknesses. some places. The New York Jets always have weaknesses. Continually. They just suck. The Cleveland Browns had a lot of weaknesses. Huh? They're working on it.
We'll get JJ Watt,
Maybe. Might need to get rid of OBJ first.
please.
So I think that's a weakness, but there's a lot of different ways that you can overcome the shortcomings. You kind of turn those weaknesses into some sort of strength. At least something that's not a competitive disadvantage for you, right? The big weaknesses, I'm gonna go on Amazon again. A weakness of Amazon would be what?
No space.
Hmm?
No space.
Is that a weakness though?
Depends, like, you're thinking to a certain market where you know, it's so, I wouldn't go into what, that's what I said, you know.
Okay, so that's something that Walmart tries to exploit with Walmart Plus. Right, because hey, you need it, you can order it here and you can go pick it up at the store. Amazon, it depends on where you're at. My family's from Clearwater, Florida. If my sister loves Amazon. And there were sometimes where she'll order something, and she'll be like, oh, it'll be here later today. Like same day delivery on some stuff, depending where you're at. They live in Columbus, Ohio, same thing. Like, oh, I ordered that this morning, it should be here this afternoon. That's pretty unique. But what's still a weakness of Amazon?
Hard to touch.
Okay, can't touch it, but they got return system. Right? What's their biggest weakness? Think about it.
If you're traveling, you can't really use them.
Okay. Look at this. Do you guys trust everybody?
What do you say?
Do you trust everybody?
No.
No. Who does Walmart, who does Amazon have to trust?
FedEx.
Everybody.
There's UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service, DHL, you name it, right? Because that's the connecting piece between you and the customer. Right? You order it, stuff comes. I promise 2 days. If it's not there in 2 days, who gets mad? You. Who do you blame? Amazon.
What's funny about it? My package just got someone from FedEx.
It's the weakness that they have. So what does Amazon try to do to overcome that weakness? They created Prime Delivery. Amazon said, you know what, we got more money than God. Let's go out and buy airplanes. Let's have a distribution hub in Louisville, Kentucky, I think it is, where UPS is, hey, we'll share it. You want to move to Louisville? Going into Louisville? Yeah, there's only there's the terminal is not very big there. When you land, you look out the window and you just see this massive building. You look over there and you see UPS plane, UPS plane, UPS plane. At night, like right now, all your packages, UPS routed up throughout the day. They are downtown, or down in Myrtle Beach, right off 501, little spot. Those are being shipped to, if it's air freight, they're being loaded onto a plane and being flown to, well, they might be driven to Columbia, where they'll get in there by about 10 at night, flipped around, loaded onto the main processing center, onto the airport, loaded onto a UPS plane that flies into Louisville, that gets in there by, let's just say midnight. Plane sits, flipped around, they sort through everything, get it on its route, those planes fly back out to where they came from. The central hub of where you're going. It's amazing how it works, but that's the strength of logistics, world logistics. Right? Remember, what's the movie? Castaway, right? Wilson, FedEx, that's in Memphis. Same spots where you're at. You gotta have cities that don't really get impacted by the weather too much. That's pretty much there. They own those airports. What they do. So, from weaknesses. So we think about some sort of competitive power. first question. You have to ask yourself, is the resource or capability competitively valuable? I mean, does somebody really care about this? Does somebody care what the resource I have do? Is it going to give me some sort of advantage? Do they care? Next question, is it rare? Do my rivals not have it? Right? We think in sports, geographic location. Right? I went to USF. It's pretty easy to sell the University of South Florida. Right? Great weather, not too far from a beach. You're in Tampa, plenty of stuff to do. Simple. What other school are you looking at? Oh, the one in the middle of the woods, backcountry. Might be fun, but don't you want to come down here? It gets cold up there. Right? Same thing, selling coastal recruits. The beach is 15 minutes away. Classes are not bad. Right? Good way to think about it. Is it something they lack? Can it be imitated? Right? So, is this something that's hard to copy overall? Skill set, whatever you have, resource or capability you possess, can it be copied? Think through the Tampa Bay Rays a couple years ago, right? Joe Madden was the manager for baseball, and they started doing all this analytics push and shifting and everything else. Right? Some teams were like, we're not doing that. That's not baseball. And the Rays are like, we don't give a shit. We're going to do it. We're going to go to the World Series. Right? Then every other team could do it. So at the time, it's not something that's hard to copy. There's just reluctance to do it because now every team does it. There might be one that doesn't. And then is it some sort of invaluable skill? Is there some threat to substitution? So, in other words, if I have Project Hay, if I have a bottle or a Yeti cup, nothing's fancy about it because I can make an imitation, substitute with it. It's all the same. Right. So, let's think through competitive power. If you have something that's valuable, rivals lack it, it's hard to copy, and you can't find a substitute for it, sit back and have a great company. Have a great product, that's your core competence. Be great at that. Okay. And then also, when we think through your activities, how costs start to come into this. You have your overall supply chain management that occurs, operations, distribution, sales, and service. All of those are impacted by human resource management, overall general administration. So your clerks, your admins that work for you. How are we hiring and staffing people to come into this? Is this in all of them? Your R&D costs, systems development, technology. All that goes into all of these steps, and you have to have it. But for you to be competitive, to have some sort of competitive opportunity, you have to be great at some of these areas. But it might be supply chain management. You're really good at sourcing your materials, right? We use, what is it? Louisville Slugger. Louisville Slugger owns most of the white ash forest in Pennsylvania. I call that being some supply chain management there. That own the ash, the wood. You know, that's where they make ash bats. At the supply. So then we got to make maple. It's come across. Overall operations everywhere, distribution. At your Walmart. Where I get my stuff out. Sales and marketing. Some companies are better at sales and marketing than others. Apple, really good at sales and marketing. It's all here. Nike, sales and marketing. Nike says it's a t-shirt. But I'm gonna make it the best t-shirt. You think it's the best t-shirt you've ever had, even though it's just 100% polyester or something else. Same thing you get somewhere else, but you're gonna pay me triple the cost of what you do it. Do you think you're gonna be the next Roger Federer or Serena Williams or I don't know, somebody? The more better you do these, better you manage your costs, higher the profit margin. That's what we're about, always about. Any questions on that stuff? That's that. This one. So I get done relatively soon tonight. How about that? So we think developing some sort of competitive advantage, right? This first one is we think best cost. So if I have a low cost, I might be able to get a broad cross section of buyers. Right? Dollar Tree. We all shop at the dollar store from time to time, right? My wife loves the dollar store. The nieces and nephews come up, movie night, like $4 at the dollar store. You get a little popcorn buckets. I'm like, shit. Yeah, got married, got all of our glass bowls and stuff that we wanted at the dollar store. I don't go buy expensive stuff. It's glass. It's right there. Works. So if you're going to be a lower cost and drive that aspect of it, you can reach a lot of people. There. You focus your low cost strategy on different aspects, though, in a specific market. So give me a product that's got a lower cost, but really focus on certain people. I don't have one in my head. I don't know if you guys can.
Something low price specific for one.
A certain group of population.
Cones,
Cones?
hair cones.
Okay, they're cheap.
Ramen noodles.
That's a good, I mean, so let's go hair combs first. I mean, obviously, I'm not really needing one, right? My hair started having some gray in it. I told my wife to chop that shit off. But hair combs, yeah, they're cheap.
You take her out.
Tana, just put that in your reflection this week. All about combs. Huh? Next week is no reflection. This week.
There's one this week?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Well, just, I mean, y'all can't bullshit 1,000 words about this class.
I'm putting like 700. Like
You can write
1,000.
700 words. You can write 700 words on combs. I mean, combs and Sour Patch Kids. We got it figured out. Sour Patch Kids, cheap and a focus group. There we go.
That's a good one.
Right?
Oh,
Focus group. Bob said ramen noodles. Cheap, focus group.
College students.
Yeah. Right? Dollar beer nights. Or nickel beer nights. Oh, beer nights. I don't know. Right? Cheap, focus group. I got seeing like 40-year-olds going there. Might be a problem. That would be interesting. We won't dive into that. I won't go down that rabbit hole. So, different ways. Let's think differentiation now. So, I really want a wide group of people, not necessarily the lowest cost, but wide group. Right? So this could be your target. Not the lowest cost, but a wide group of people shop at Target. toothpaste.
Like $7.
True. But different brands have actually used differentiation in this way that some toothpaste is really cheap. So next time go to the toothpaste aisle and look, you'll see like the $2 toothpaste from like Oral-B, and you'll see like the $7 toothpaste. But you know, I buy the more expensive ones. Like, yeah, I like what hygienists tell me. My teeth are good. Right. So there it is. And then a focused differentiation strategy. That narrow segment that we're going after, expensive, something can be more pricey, can be more expensive. Let's see what?
I said, I have one.
What's that?
So honestly, tampons for girls are actually ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, I know. So so we have combs, tampons, sorry. You asked me at the beginning of the class, what were we talking about tonight? That would not be the top 3 topics that came to mind. One I know from my sister, who's in law enforcement. There's a apparel company called 511 Apparel that is pretty much for law enforcement. Focused, differentiated group. It's there, right? Each group is there. You don't see the average person walking around with that attire. So different aspects that come into that. All these can kind of play at how you're going to develop products that fit them in. Right there. So broad low cost strategy. That lowest cost producer, you're trying to underprice competitors. You're trying to get price sensitive people there. Give me a story. Walmart. Ross.
How about Planet Fitness?
Planet Fitness. Right? They don't the people who said, I don't care, I'll pay $10. There it is. So we're driving it down. There you go. You got TJ Maxx and Ross. Right? Ross to me, I don't really like going into. I go to TJ Maxx, Marshalls. I'm more of a Marshalls person. What's the difference? Better brands. I am. I know it. Shit, I know. But it's true. Like we go down to 544. We like that Target shopping center. I tell my wife, hey, you wanna go Target? She's like, sure. We go down there for something else. Let's go to Marshalls. She's like, shit. I'll find something. Right. So or she finds something too. So if you're looking to do that, try to maintain your market share of what you're doing. So how do I get some sort of cost advantage here? So I'm going to have some sort of value chain activities that are more effective than my rivals. So how does Walmart get lower prices? Logistics. They're really good at getting you from point A to point B. They work with their partners to make that happen. They also will go to their companies and their brands and say, you need to do this. Prime example of that is laundry detergent. Laundry detergent is like 70% water. There's not that much true stuff in it. It's quite dilute. Same thing, you take fabric softener, you pour it in, and it always says dilute. This fabric softener is more actually liquid. Laundry detergent is water. What Walmart told them was take your packaging and shrink it, or else we kick you out. Right? We want the shelf space. So how do I keep low costs? If I can get more SKUs in my store, and you shrink your packaging down, which we could actually say Walmart caused kids to eat Tide Pods. They shrunk it down. That probably forced innovation of Tide Pods. Snack item or not, but it's there. So shrink bottles down, force that pressure. The former VP of Gildan, I asked him, what's it like dealing with Walmart? He goes, it's actually one of the best things we did. I did. But did because they want you to succeed. So if Walmart tells you to do something, or really wants you to do something, you do it. Because they know their customer really well and they know how to make it work. They know a price point that's going to work for your customer. So you have to do that to meet it. So that's why Walmart gets a bad rap. It's like, oh, they want you to sell stuff so cheap, you can't make any money. If that's the case, there would be no products in Walmart at all. They're all making money. So then you revamp that overall value chain. Some of those cost producing activities. Right, think back to the last set of slides where those costs all dig in. So can I revamp activities, get rid of people, increase technology, right? A robot is cheaper than a person. Walmart just came out, what was it, last week, I think, and they said, if you raise the minimum wage up, like they're raising the minimum wage up for store employees or raising that. Later, they also said, we're gonna go to all self-checkout then. Like, sure, you might actually get through the checkout a lot faster. Unless you're staring at like the old guy with his cart of groceries, taking one thing out at a time, walking over, scanning, put it back. That's cute. But he's gonna take 20 minutes. So how can we make this happen? You know, they're not known for customer service, but with that increased profitability, absolutely. So we think overall there's some cost drivers out there. That overall cost, some of the things, let's see. Economies of scale at the top. How fast this common term you might hear is, we got to scale this up. I got to scale up production. All right, go watch Shark Tank. That's one of my favorite shows. But you watch it, and like, yeah, we're planning to scale up production to get this much. We need this investment. We need to scale up production. All they're meaning is my economy of scale of what I can make. How much more can I make of that? Right here with vaccine production. I'm gonna scale up production for certain things. Incentive systems. So sometimes people have different incentive systems to drive producers to make different things inside their value chain. Right? I'll offer you added shelf space or discounts on stuff when it comes to make this happen. Right? I'll decrease your landing fees. So Myrtle Beach International. How do I get more airlines to fly here? I got to reduce your gate fees. I got to reduce your landing fees at the airport to incentivize airlines to come here. It might not necessarily do it. Frontier Airlines flying from Denver to here. I didn't know Denver was a hot market to fly to Myrtle Beach. Apparently it is, right? So how do we make that happen? Incentives. Production technology. So those that are really good at producing things. So manufacturing of different aspects. How do I do that? How do I integrate technology? Now we have advanced manufacturing systems. So Ori Dorshon Tech is actually one of the leaders in the area for it, of taking advanced technology where I don't need necessarily a large assembly line anymore, but I can have one person operate 2 robots and make that work where I used to have 6 people. Robots are slightly more efficient. How can I move this through? Same thing with supply chain. So narrowing that down, how do I get my supply chain to be there? Thing you hear from a lot of companies is vertical integration. So they want to buy up everything along the way. Because if I can control every step of the process, that manages to increase my overall efficiency. Supply chain. Selling direct to customers. What enabled a lot of companies to sell direct to customers? Take it for granted today. The internet, absolutely. So there's places where you used to have to rely on a big box store or some retailer, some vendor to sell your product for you if you didn't want to open your own store. Right, having some physical location. Now you can order it directly online, directly from them. You just cut out the middle. Wonder why malls are kind of a dying breed. Right, some stores, I've seen it. When we say Amazon could be a weakness because we can't touch and tangibly feel things, well, it's great, but But how do we innovate upon that? Well, I can get around it. I can give advanced pictures. I can do various things. Right? The idea of buying, say I don't have to wear them. My wife wears glasses. So the idea of buying glasses online that you never tried on, your thing. Warby Parker does it. There's some Warby Parker stores, but if you go online, you can buy your glasses, they have like virtual try-on sessions. They do it for shoes? How does that work?
It's like, it's almost like that's like, you know, it's so now on the- it's like, figure out, you know, go to work, people like, really doing it.
So just see the look, not the comfort. More about the comfort. Okay, but Essentially, though, right? But especially that demographic, the shoe, the sneakerhead aspect, you want to see how this looks. Right? So selling direct to consumer. Like I said, eliminating low value added or unnecessary work steps. So efficiency is key. The more efficient you operate, higher profit margin, this can work. At a university, we are not known as being vessels of efficiency. If you want efficiency, universities are not the place for it. But what happens? Material handling, shipping costs. This is important because if I have to get raw materials in, I need those people nearby. Right? So I need parts, everything in that are there. If you go in the upstate, you go around Greenville, there's relatively close by parts manufacturers to get stuff for BMW. Right? We can't be like Boeing and just get massive planes and fly parts in Charleston for us to build planes. That's just weird. Right? But think about sourcing your products and where they're coming in from. I was up in Ohio. There's Honda's massive plant up there. They build everything. There's 2 or 3 logistics centers right next to it to get parts in. So you can force it to happen. You go to Bentonville, Arkansas. There's a lot of companies located right around there, but that's where Walmart is. So you're close to the mothership. You get products in where you need to be. Right? So how they fit it in grocery stores. Make a big deal about, oh, we want local farmers and local produce because that's what people want to hear. I support my local farmers. They want it too because it's cheaper. I can get it here faster. I don't have to wait for stuff to come. I don't have to wait for, like back in Florida, strawberries. So you go to the store right now. Look at the strawberries. I guarantee they're from Winter Park, Plant City, someplace in Florida. This is prime strawberry season. If you're down in Florida right now, you can pull off the side of the road and get a flat of strawberries for like $6. But yeah, they sell them for $2.99 at the store. Here. So getting stuff pumped in, because if not, it's out of season, then you have to wait to get them from South America or some other place. Right? So how can I make these stores more efficient? When does low cost work overall? When there's fierce competition amongst rivals over price. And so if you have that ability to keep slashing down lower and lower, ultimately you're going to win on cost. And especially if you can just keep undercutting others. We've seen this with airlines. Right? Spirit Airlines says, no, don't worry about it. We'll just give you the lowest ticket price possible. Right? It used to be Southwest. Southwest is not the cheapest airline. It's nice. It's not the cheapest. Airline industry, there's fierce competition over price. They said it's also airlines difficult to achieve some sort of differentiation between the two. Plane is a plane. A seat is a seat. Fly me from here to here. I don't mind Spirit. It's cheaper and I can get where I need to go. Sometimes directly, great. We all use the same product in the same way. Unless you're flying the plane, you're using the product in the same way. No. And there's low cost in switching from one to another. Okay, so if you're loyal to one airline, that's on you. But if you want the lowest cost, you might fly one flight on Delta, next flight's on American. Happens. One flight on United, next one on Southwest. Whatever works for you to make that happen. Biggest pitfall here is over aggressive cost cutting. Right, so you keep cutting, cutting, and cutting, and cutting. It hurts too much. Then you become too fixated on cost reduction. Differentiation strategies. I said you offer some sort of unique product attribute. That's why people find it appealing. If done right, these three things can happen. You gain loyalty, you increase unit sales, and you command a premium price per product. Don't we all want that? I want to sell stuff. I want loyalty. Things there. People find this appealing. They're worth paying more. Yet he comes. Right here. In a nutshell. We think overall value drivers for customers. Sales and marketing, they want to be told they're fantastic. You're awesome. You're this. Come see us. This one typically goes overlooked here. Employee skill, training, overall experience. What's the first thing that companies lose to save money? Huh? Employees. We cut hours. Why? Because it's one of the most biggest variable costs. I can cut it, and I'm going to maintain my profitability. In the end, if you go to a store, have you all gone to the store and you want to look at something or buy something, and you might have questions, you want that person to actually talk to you, right? That's great, but that person's too busy because we're dealing with somebody else. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm done. There at your window, I'm not going to stick around. I have the patience of a goldfish, so no. So employee skill, someone to come through and actually talk through the product with you. All right, tell me more about why this works and why it's fantastic. Educate. Your production R&D, how are you producing? What's your research and development going into that? How to produce certain products. And of course, these two appear, customer service and product features. And those are value drivers for people. Because something goes wrong, I want to have great customer service. That's one of the biggest things that turns people off the brands is horrible customer service. I might have really enjoyed that product, but those people sucked. Never going back. It's one of the worst things that can happen. That's why every brand out there stresses customer service, customer service, customer service. Treat them the way you want to be. I just read something from Dick's Sporting Goods, which talked about their growth of private labels in the store. So private labels are those that they personally developed. The Kalia line with Carrie Underwood, that's actually owned by Dick's. It's not Carrie Underwood's line. They brought her in and said, hey, do this. It's a partnership. The DSG clothing line is priced lower than everyone else in the store, but it's pretty quality work. He talked about serving the customer and kind of like they refer to all their employees as athletes, or all the customers as athletes. We want to make sure the great athlete experience. So we think through value drivers. It's working with your suppliers to better address those needs. Right. So value drivers for Amazon is the shipping. How can I enhance the shipping experience? What can I do? It's a downstream channel. What we're doing, I want to have the best experience. So my brand, I want to go in if my product is sold at Dick's Sporting Goods. I want to go into Dick's Sporting Goods and develop a training program to tell them about my product. Here's how you should be communicating my product. Here's what you should be doing. Make that happen with downstream partners. Ways that work best. If you have rivals not following you, the needs are diverse overall in what they're doing. Right, so you're not using the product the same way. Think a Nike t-shirt here. Some people use it for training, some people use it just for comfort. Some we just use it for whatever, but varies across the board of how it's always going to be used. And there's a lot of ways to differentiate what you're doing. Some pitfalls here. Overspending, the big one. So if I'm overspending on that, tends to cut to my overall profitability. So you gotta not overspend on differentiation to the point where I'm doing such a great job at it, but it's getting into my margins and what I need. Right, so it's always watching your bottom line for financial purposes. Make sure you're there. When there's attributes that are easily and quickly copied, they're always suspect. So, and then when no one sees value in what you're doing, you might just stop. Go to a low cost strategy and move on. So focus low cost. We said combs. I said Motel 6. The comb of hotels. There it is. They know who their people are, right? They want the people who just want a bed to sleep that night when you're traveling on the road. But your room might cost $35, but you got a place to sleep. Okay. So it is. I don't recommend Motel 6. Staying. Stay that one. So never stay again. And then also the differentiation, Whole Foods markets in that. Unique preferences, what we're doing. Unique customers we're going after. Let's see. So if you're doing this, really focus on the top one, the bottom one. Your target market is niche. It's a niche market that's still big enough where there's still a lot of good growth. Meaning it's there. Think Whole Foods, right? There's still room to grow. Trader Joe's is coming, kind of a Whole Foods competition. Fresh Market, Whole Foods competition. And have they want. And sometimes there's fewer any rivals that are trying to fully specialize in certain areas. The grocery business works in this way. Some just want to get everything involved. Worth it. For a focused approach to your risk factors. Some of those ones that are outside that niche market. So you think if you're Whole Foods, you're competing with Fresh Market and Trader Joe's and maybe like Sprouts. Like that's your niche group. Well, who disrupts that? Publix. Publix comes in with their Greenwise market. Oh, shit. Publix got a loyal following. Now Publix is going to bring this in, and people are going to go to them because they trust Publix over me. Great. How do you fight that if you're Whole Foods? You get bought out by Amazon. Right? You go and Amazon came in, changed some of the prices around. I think Prime members get a certain discount or something. I don't know. It works. So some of your best costless hybrid strategies altogether. All depends on that capacity. I said to offer upscale attributes and still maintain a lower cost than the rivals. All right, this is where Southwest Airlines kind of had a little best price strategy going. They could offer upscale trip attributes. I could let business people board early. Does it matter y'all get on the plane at the same time? Sure, right? But hey, you guys want to pay extra? Here's this upscale feature. I let you on early. You can pick your seat, you fancy business travelers. still give you bags for free, because all those other people are subsidizing your thing, or you're subsidizing those other people. You paid extra for this, right? That's what we're doing. So there's different ways you can do that. There's other brands that do it. I don't know if there's any upscale cones that's still coming at lower prices. I don't know. There. That's it. How well can you do that simultaneously? Fine line to walk. And that looks really good to read. That's all we got for that. Questions on that? Cool. Let's go to what we all care about. Let's talk about your midterm. Must be submitted as a PDF. Please do that. Please, please, please do that. If you don't send it as PDF, it's a 0. If you don't submit it on time, it's a 0. There's that. But that citations must be used on the APA formatting. So this isn't a sit down and just do it in 10-minute type thing. Takes time. I want you to elaborate on the solutions that you have. Best practice and peer review journals that are there, citations. I want responses that should be detailed to the point, where you fully articulated your thoughts and rationale for the conclusion. So after you're reading, you're like, huh, did I fully get everything across? There's something more that I could say. Don't just write it and submit it. Go back there and reread it. Say, huh, is there a weakness in my argument? Is there something in here? Okay. So for the first question, what I want you to do is find any nonprofit organization. Doesn't have to be a sports organization. It can literally be any. Pick one. Look up their financials. Okay. If it's a small local nonprofit, it's probably going to be harder to find, but on GuideStar, you can find them. You can find the IRS Form 990 up, which you can look at. I want you to talk about their overall position. So I'm looking for a detailed analysis of the organization and their current position. Where do they sit? What are they about? Financially, are they sound? Yes.
This is gonna be your mom.
It's already up there.
Okay, cool.
And then 2 revenue enhancement strategies for them. Based off what they had, not just say, oh, fundraiser is better. No. Give me a 2 detailed approaches that they could implement. I'm not talking about like writing a dissertation on this. But if you say, develop a new charity ball night or something like that. Great. Who's going to target? How am I going to get people out there? Do a golf tournament. Pull that off. What are we looking for? Okay. So 2 revenue enhancement strategies and 2 cost saving strategies. Pretty simple. But when you introduce your strategies, that's where citations will need to be brought up. Right. So don't just tell me, oh, I think this would be a great strategy. Well, it's a great strategy because this other nonprofit in this city used X to do this, and their revenue shot up. Led to success, innovative approach to bring this up. Tell me about that, right? The second question, only 2 questions. So it deals with strategy and organizational resources. After that, I said you know everything. So I want you to pick a sport organization, literally, like anyone, and conduct an analysis of a new product it could introduce to the marketplace. Okay. The example I used is NHL's partnership with AWS. Also, like I just talked about last night. For enhanced analytics and fan experience, or Nike introducing a new running shoe to the market. Right? So think through this. I want you to pick that sports organization and develop a new product for them. Okay. So a detailed analysis of the company using the strategic visualization tool, try to figure out where they belong. Right, where's this company sitting right now? I don't know, maybe a SWOT analysis could be a strategic visualization tool we could do for them. Come up with a new product. So including why it's needed. So if you're gonna choose Coastal Carolina Athletics, I know a product right now that I could really come up with that's not there, that could really be used. And it'd be a great tool to have. Why it's needed, some projected cost estimates to bring this in. How much is it gonna cost for them to do it? And then which strategic method are you utilizing to achieve this product? There's your determinants. Any questions? Yes.
Time.
Yep. You want to start working on it tonight? Feel free to. Just go on, download it. And start working. As long as it's due by March 6th at 11:55 p.m. to middle as a PDF. That's all it is. And so I'll be available via email. If you have questions and you want to talk through it, let me know. My office hours, I'm always there. Feel free to come by. I'm more happy to sit down and talk it through with you. Always open to do that. So essentially, this is my way to help prepare you for your conference exams. So class is about preparing you for conference exams. Because when I have to grade them all, I have to bring people back in. So there it is. Thank you, Professor. That's all I got. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. You have your discussion this week, not next week. That's class next week. So, see you later.
Medical, I did my